chess player, try to improve as much as possible at the game with a planned and structured approach to play and study. In today's video, I'll be talking through every single move that I make. This will give you an insight into the beginner player's mind. Why do they make the moves that they make? Why do they make the mistakes that they make? And then hopefully we can take any of those mistakes, learn from them, and limit them in the future. With that, let's jump straight into a game. We're going to be playing 15-10 today, which means we have 15 minutes to make all of our moves. But for every move that we make, we get an additional 10 seconds. If we run out of time, then we lose the game. We are on white, so straight up, we're going to play e4, the idea being to control the center and to get us closer to being able to castle. He brings out his knight out to f6. This is now attacking our pawn, so we will want to defend our pawn, and we have a few options for this. We could bring out this pawn out to f3, we could bring out this pawn out to d3, we could bring out our knight out to c3, or we could bring our bishop out to d3. Those seem to be the main options. Generally, a rule is that you want to bring out knights before bishops, as they control the center better. So I think it will be either that or the pawns. I'm going to go with this pawn also has the disadvantage of blocking in this bishop who would like to get out at some stage. So we're going to go with the knight to defend our pawn. And see what our opponent does. Okay, so he moves out to e5, gaining control of the center himself, freeing up this bishop, who now can target this knight at some stage. If we move out this pawn, he could pin this knight. And likewise, it gets him closer to castling because he can bring out this knight at some stage. So we want to continue our development. We have a few options. Bring the knight out to f3 seems like a good natural move. We're also be attacking his pawn. We could bring out our bishop out to c4, would be a nice active diagonal for him to be on, and it's not too easy for him to get attacked. Or we could bring up our pawn to make room for this bishop to come out. But like I said before, this would block in our white squared bishop, so we're going to remove that as a candidate move. And I think we're going to go with moving out our knight, attacking his pawn, and getting us closer to castling. Okay, he brings his knight forward. This now attacks two of our pawns. Both are protected though. He also has a future option of coming in here. But again, that's very well protected right now. He thinking to bring out his bishop here, which would then protect his square. He could come down and he would fork our rook and our queen. So we certainly don't want that to happen. An easy way to do that would be we can bring our pawn up here and attack him. If he does bring out his bishop, forgetting that we attack him, we can take. This also has a nice advantage that in the future when we castle. Okay, so he's gone for taking, something we weren't expecting, and we are going to likely take back. This seems like a mistake from our point of view, but very possible at this beginner stage we're simply completely misunderstanding the reason for his play and haven't realized that he's got a grander plan. But I don't generally here when they sacrifice and you take with the king, they want to immediately get you in check afterwards. And the only way he can do that, I believe, is with the queen coming straight out here. And it looks like, and we could just take directly with our knight. Again, could be missing something, but I am going to take the knight. I can't see any immediate danger. Let's just quickly look at, is this a problem? Not really, I don't think, because we can block with our pawn. If he takes, we take, and we still protect. He brings out the queen. We can still block here. So a lot of dangers, but it looks like it's defendable. Like I said, If not, we'll learn from it, maybe incorporate into our own game. Okay, our plan here was to move our pawn up. We're going to do that. Now, we unfortunately can no longer, now we're just going to take as we had planned with our knight. Oh wait, now you can bring up the queen. But we can defend that with our own king. We're up material, so we don't mind an exchange. All seems okay to me. He's being very aggressive right now. Hopefully we can fend off this attack. Hadn't actually seen this move as a potential check, so that was a mistake not seeing that, although even if I had seen it, I don't think I'd been worried because of, like we soon notice afterwards, we can defend from this. That removes the defender from this knight. Okay, so that's where we looked over this entire combination of play. So we look back at this afterwards in the analysis to see what we should have done differently, but we've certainly made mistakes there. We miscalculated. But let's continue from here. We're going to need to either to move our king or and I think blocking with the bishop may be the best approach here. Alternatively, we could push back. Actually, that would be slightly safer, but does block in this bishop. We still have the queen. He may go for an exchange. Okay, I think we'll go for this. It does seem a bit safer. It's harder for him to attack again. So now we're down a pawn. We can no longer castle. If he takes our queen, we've got a pretty bad kingside structure for protection. So not a great start to this game. Not over by any means. At this level that we're playing, we're both rated, around 1060. There will be plenty of mistakes in the game. So certainly possible he makes a mistake in the future and we can get right back into this. So if we just continue making as good moves as we can, we certainly could still win this game, even though we're an underdog right now. So we certainly will continue. And look forward to checking back the analysis afterwards so that I can see exactly where I made the mistake. Perhaps not taking with the queen when he came in with the knight would have been a better option, even though you lose a pawn. Or perhaps there's something I could have done before that to prevent the knight from coming in the first place. We'll take a look at that. For now, we'll concentrate on the position that we're at. Future candidate moves. So he's come in, now he's attacking our king again. Another check that we missed. This one doesn't seem as bad. I think we can move out of here and have the advantage of attacking his queen. If we move here, is there any way he can get us in check? And this time I feel confident that not immediately. The other option would be coming down here or over here. Actually, I like here, that looks the safest right now. Okay, so now we've got discovered check on his queen, which is something we might be able to get in way, but of course. Okay, interesting. So he moves his queen down. This now double attacks our knight, allowing him to. He could take with his bishop. We could take with our pawn. He could take with the queen, and then he has a fork right here. So we want to do something to prevent that. I think bringing out our bishop to d2 is the best way to prevent that. Just adding a second defender to the square. So let's go ahead and do that. So he has 2 pieces developed right now. We have 3. I'm feeling slightly better than earlier of our position. we're still down material, a pawn, and we can no longer castle. But our king seems a bit safer. We have a few of our pieces developed. Our queen side is still fairly structured, and we can potentially try and do more manual castling, bring our queen up here at some stage, bringing our rook across and bringing our queen back in here to more safely. Okay, so we have, he moves out his knight, potential future moves for him are coming forward. I'm guessing they're all trying to attack on this queen side. We can potentially move our knight out, which gives us another discovered check on this queen, which is nice. Is there anything we can do with our knight after we do that? Or we could go even out here. Both of those also give us the option of jumping into this square if the queen stops protecting it, which would put a fork on his king and his rook. Inclined to go here. Just seems a bit more difficult for him to be attacked in the future because there's no pawns. He'd have to move into his pawn, as opposed to if we go here, he can attack us with a pawn. Okay, and of course we're protected by our own pawn, so let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and yes, this has the advantage of, oh, that actually looks like a reasonably nice move. It has the advantage of blocking this square, which of course he wants to, which would have been a nice escape square for him, so he can continue protecting this pawn, preventing us from coming in and making our fork. Oh yes, of course he can just come in with his own knight, and I want to be careful here because he can come down and do his own fork on our queen and our king. I like just moving over the king. We've already lost our right to castle. This will protect this square. At least once, and if he moves his knight, we can take with our bishop. I expect he may come across here with his queen, which would add a second attacker to this. And we would have to find a way to defend that. We could come in, come across with our rook, then he can come down with his knight. Or we could come across with our queen. That's probably the better approach. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Alternatively, we could just move, no, we can't do that. Never mind. If I was thinking that we could move our pawn, which forks the two of these, which is nice. This pawn's protected from our bishop. But of course, he would still have, he can just come right in here with his knight and put in that fork. So we'll move our queen over. We still keep this as a nice option because he could no longer come in with his rook because we take him with our queen. And his rook right now can't move because if he does, we will take his queen with our bishop. So still down that pawn and freely under attack, but we have created some threats of our own and made the potential for him to make mistakes to let us back into the game. And right now, let's see, what would I do if I was in his position? I guess just taking this pawn is a pretty nice approach. Although then we can move across with our rook, which would be attacking the bishop. And if he moves his bishop, now we're double attacking. So that is, and if he doesn't move. Okay, so a few options here. We can push forward our pawn, creating our fork, which we talked about earlier. Actually, this isn't an option for now, as he's got his queen. I think I like that move. Let's do it. Need to be a little bit careful in time. With talking through every move, I'm taking a bit longer than I usually would. So we've used half our time in 14 moves. We'll try to just speed up a little bit with our moves. So I think he's better off saving his bishop. Interesting. So he decides to take the pawn. We can't take, obviously, but we can take this bishop, which still keeps this thread, and we continue to have this thread up here with the fork. And if he moves his queen out of this line, we can take this rook as well. So that seems pretty good. And it puts us up a pawn. Of course, we earlier in the game thought we had nabbed a knight. That's what we missed here again. So we missed that. And come up here. He's forcing us to take with something. Then he can come down here and take our rook. So that is not good for us. We will battle through. I wouldn't consider this fully game over yet at this level, because again, big mistakes can be made, but we are falling into quite a bad position right now. We still have a fork of our own we can do here to get that rook back. But we need to be very careful here, because he can get us into, that wouldn't be quite checkmate, but it'd be getting closer. So I think that fork is our best option right now. Seeing can he get us into immediate checkmate when he has the opportunity. I don't believe so. Another option would be, that's probably a better option. Just take his rook straight away. And if he doesn't move, he'll expect him to castle, taking away our fork. Or we could take our rook. Okay, I like slightly prefer that. Getting this tree back now, we're back to just down a pawn. We just added an extra protector here. We're still threatening this, although of course he can just castle. If he castles though, and which means his rook would come out here, and he moves his rook out of here, trying to gain control of this half-open file, we can of course can come in and do our that fork that we talked about. All right, so he comes out to check. I think we can just block with our pawn. That seems fine to me. And we're also threatening him. Of course, he can come back in here. But then we can block with our bishop. Still down a pawn, still under attack. Not in a great position right now. But still feel optimistic that we have some shot in this game. Of course, we're going to be relying on him making a mistake at this stage. It'd be interesting to see what the analysis afterwards. I expect we're down a significant amount in terms of the scoring. All right. Well, let's finally finish our development, getting the bishop out after all of that. Seems like a pretty good square. When we move our knight, we'll have a direct sight on this square. As I said before, if he does move his rook, of course, that's a mistake. We could come in here to fork. Okay, so he moves out his pawn, attacking our bishop. Is there any reason we can't just take this? I think that's okay. Because he can come, no, he can come here and adding a second attacker then to this square. But we are also protected from our queen. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see if for the third time we've miscalculated, made a mistake. Last 2 times we thought we had a good move. He was planning further ahead than we were, because he just took the pawn back. Of course, we can't retake. So I wouldn't say a mistake, but something we didn't see. So I've just realized, I believe if we move over our rook, his queen might be trapped. Yes, he can't come out here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go anywhere back here. He can, no. Okay, we're going to try that. Really think we haven't missed anything this time, but, and has he any way to get us in check? He does with his pawn, but we can just take with our queen and then doesn't change this trap over here. All right, we finally got one wrong. We finally found a mistake. If we have, then this has probably been sitting here a while. This potential. No, it wasn't, because we were trapped in until we moved our bishop. But we could have gone it for it immediately here, rather than take, and then going for it. Take down. All right, so now we will take back. And now we're up 3 in material, although our queen is, pretty vulnerable right now. But I expect we might be a favorite now, even with our queen being fairly open. Can we just take another pawn here? Let's see, what is he attacking right now? This he can't take. And the 2 rooks are kind of sitting there right now. So I think we just take another pawn while we have the chance. Let's get up 4. Also creates a little wall for our queen to potentially come in behind. We can come here to attack his rook. Of course, the rook could escape here. Okay, he's attacking our knight. It's protected by our pawn. So not really concerned with that. I like coming out here, attacking his rook. Assuming he moves his rook, then we can just take this pawn, I believe. One disadvantage coming out here is that he could come here and then pin our bishop. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So let's move our king first. Either here or here. Let's go with here. We're partially pretty low on time, which gives him definitely an increased chance of us now making another mistake or another big mistake. We still have 4 minutes. We get that extra 10 seconds per move, so I'm not too concerned about the time. Okay, moved out his pawn. We can simply take, or we can consider taking. If he, then he can come in here, which is a nice move. So we do not want to do that. We also definitely don't want to leave our pawn here. So I think we just push up our pawn. Because otherwise he could have taken, I guess we could have just taken back with our queen. Yeah, maybe that wasn't, maybe taking would have been fine. Or maybe taken would have been fine. Okay, he's moved out his rook, attacking our knight. I'm going to move our knight back. Sorry, our bishop back. So we're protecting this pawn. Now we have a direct line of sight on this pawn. We can move this on some stage. We can move the queen over and threaten checkmate. I think, can we just take this pawn? I believe so. I think it's of course being attacked by the rook, but we're protected by the queen. Then he can come in here and check us, which isn't so good. Okay. I think we can just leave him for now. Take our pawn, attack his rook. Let's do that. And he gets a check in here. Okay. Don't want to go up here because he can come down here. We could come down here. Yes, and he has no immediate attack, or even here. I think we want to stay on a dark square so that he can't attack with his bishop. Let's do that. We're still attacking his rook if he, so he's going to have to move. No, we can potentially take his pawn in the future because he can no longer simply take while he's retaking. So slowly building up our advantage here, losing our time, so we need to be careful of that. Oh, we can also come in here, put him in check. That's a future candidate move, which would force him. Coming out here would be a mistake, because we can think. Okay, now we can come in here and fork his rook and his king. I'm starting to feel much better about where we're at, or removing his threats. Of course, he's going to take us back with the bishop, but that's a great trade for us. We can now, we just need to be careful here that we don't get attacked from the queen. We would be limited in moves. Yeah, we prefer that not to happen for sure. What's the best way to prevent this? We can just move our pawn so that our bishop is protecting the square. He can't take our pawn here, which he does. That's okay. But now we can just, I think, start pushing our pawn forward, threatening to promote. He of course has this move, but I think we can just then just take his pawn here. Yes, okay, let's do that. 2 minutes left, +6. And we can get us in check here. But, okay, decided to attack our bishop here. Now we can just move here. He can no longer move his rook. It's pinned to the king. So very happy with our position. this is fine too. We can just take the pawn, attacking his bishop. This guy's still pinned. So happy with our position. Looks like we're going to win this game, despite if we don't. Definitely made loads of mistakes though, but of course we can learn from those, especially that first seemed like a kind of trap that we fell into when we decided to take his rook with our king. We'll take a quick look at that afterwards. See if we can wrap this up. I'm going to take his rook next. He can get some compensation. Oh no, he can't. So yeah, this looks pretty bad for him right now. Now we'll just take the pawn. Stays the same. He still can't move. This rook. And so now we'll just take the rook. He will get his compensation, but it's fine with us. So I'm just going to push forward to get promoted. He can move here. No, so first of all, we're going to... Oh no, let's just put the king in check. Then we can take the bishop, push this guy forward to get promoted, and then it should be an easy. So we may just need to be careful not to stalemate, although with pawns still on the board, that shouldn't be a problem. And he resigned. Okay, good. So we got there. He wants to rematch. Don't have time right now to rematch, so otherwise I would, because that was a fun game. Let's say good game and do some quick analysis. Short on time for this video, so we're going to make this analysis pretty quick, but I will do some more thorough analysis myself. Main thing I want to see is that first mistake that I made and what we could have done differently. Just waiting for the analysis to be complete here, so I can get the advice of the computer. All right. Okay, so moved out his knight, moved our knight, all fine so far. Moved out our second knight, still all fine. So that was a mistake from him. Okay, but perhaps we shouldn't have done this. Let's see. Oh, that was actually all fine, at least according to the computer. They were fine with it. Still a mistake from him. And this wasn't a trap if we knew how to manage it correctly, according to the computer. But I expect that we made some mistakes from here. So we chose shoot the pawn. So we're still doing pretty well, considering we hadn't seen this situation before. And here was our mistake. Okay. So he's attacking the knight. We should have just brought the knight to safety, and then we're just in a completely winning position. And even though he can push his pawn forward to give us a discovered check, I think we can just block with our knight, I expect. Let's see. So if we had to come out here and he decided to push his pawn, giving him a nice discovered check. I guess we can just move our king down safely here. This is reasonable. Or we can just block with bishop. Okay, so let's go back to that again. Once he got down here, we were right to push him out. He came, we were right again to take. He attacked with his bishop. We were right again to block with our pawn. He took with the pawn. Here's where we made a mistake. We should not have taken with our knight. We should have moved our knight up here out of safety, and we're in a great position. Instead, we did take. This was the mistake. We forgot to see that he can check us by bringing his queen out here. This is what we overlooked. We hadn't seen this queen check earlier because it was blocked from our knight. when we decided to take with our knight, we forgot that this now opens up our queen to be in check. So pointed our specific arrow there. Hopefully, if we find ourselves in the exact same position again, we won't fall into it. So let's revisit it one more time to try and engrave it and not make this a repeated mistake. So again, all of this was fine so far. He made a mistake coming forward. We did right attacking, we did right taking. He came to attack, we defended good. He attacked. Here's where we made our mistake, forgetting that when we bring out our knight, when the king is open, he can bring out his queen and cause a whole lot of trouble for us from there. All right, that's going to be our main learnings from this video. I will do some more deeper analysis myself outside of the video, but I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it gave you a bit of a peek inside the beginner's player's mind, and I certainly learned from this video how to avoid this trap in the future when I do further analysis, possibly other things. And that is it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.